All right, we're rolling. Hi. Can you go
Hi.
ahead and introduce yourself?
Oh, hello. First, thank you for having me representing Seedify today. So my name is Raisa. I'm Seedify Digital Marketing Manager. I have been on Seedify pretty much since the beginning, since July last year or June. Can't recall it, but yeah, it's been a long time since I have joined Seedify, and we do like a lot of things on the marketing side. My responsibilities is more on the social media side of things, also paid partnerships and influencers.
Awesome. So, what was your background before you joined Seedify? Were you already working in Web3 or kind of what brought you into this space?
Yeah. So I think like everyone, we kind of come from other industries since Web3 and like crypto in general is such a new industry and it's just blooming in the past 5 years or so. So most of my experiences with startups or hospitality. So I have been working for Marriott for some years and I also work for one of our Airbnb competitors that's more of a startup type of environment. Then when COVID hit, hospitality industry was kind of destroyed that year. So that's when my job went with it. And then I had to look for some remote opportunities because that's what was like blooming at the time. And then I found some opportunities both in agencies and also in crypto. Like my boyfriend and I, we begin to get very interested about some projects, especially last year when there was that altcoin summer time that like a lot of coins were coming up, interesting projects, DeFi projects coming up, and we begin to invest. But like it was mostly for fun, like because we found it so different. But for me, what hit the most, like on the marketing side, was how different the marketing was for the crypto industry from what I was used to. Like channels like Instagram and Facebook was pretty much non-existent, and all the communication was so heavily on the community side. So I begin to see some positions open, especially like for no for like on the community itself, the projects asking for help. That's when I joined like one of those altcoins just to help them on the social media side, pretty much for free. We just get like a couple, some tokens, but that was not the key thing. The key thing for me was to test, like to be there and to see what was coming up. So I spent, I think, 5 months on there prior to join Seedify. So Seedify is where I have most of my experience with crypto. And it's very exciting because as a launchpad, we're constantly dealing with different projects. Although we are very focused on blockchain gaming, we have to have a good understanding of the entire um, industry because as we are a launchpad, like we need to be on top of the best things that are coming up. Also, networks that are enabling blockchain games to be developed on. We recently just launched a game on Avalanche. That's a new network that's now providing technology that enables blockchain game to be developed on, and many others. So it's exciting to be in a launchpad in that sense because it allow a professional, especially if you are entering the industry, to get a good range and a good view of the industry.
Yeah, thank you for that. I find it interesting the backgrounds that people have before they moved into the Web3 space because, as you mentioned, it's pretty new. And so everybody comes from somewhere else. And I think it's inspiring because you can teach the technology. Like anybody can learn how blockchain works with the right education. But
Yes.
it's the soft skills and the work experience that you can't really like train someone in. So I would like to know before we move a little more into Seedify, like what soft skills, because I think there are a lot of people who would like to enter this space but don't really know where to start or how to go about getting a job. So what soft skills or like interpersonal skills do you think transferred from your previous work experience into helping you make yourself like a successful digital marketer for Web3?
That's kind of tough, but I think it's soft skills that would apply to any job. First, you need to have really good communication skills in general, not only to communicate with your team, but mainly because, as I mentioned, crypto is so heavily. We rely so heavily on our communities that we need to have that communication component not only for us to speak with them, but to be able to understand what they're saying, like what is that audience trying to achieve, what's their fears, what are the things that they value the most about about your project, or about other projects blooming in the industry, then you can catch the timing and the wave that's coming at the moment. So that's definitely one good skill that a person should have. Also, I would say it goes on the communication. Like, you need to be very good and open to do networking. This is a new industry, we rely also heavily on the networking and the people that we know other people that know new projects, that have new ideas, or even people who are not on Web3, but that we can bring to the industry. So it goes again to the communication side, and also, I guess, like organization skills, as the industry is so new. We're still like trying to figure it out, and most of the companies, of course, like there are exceptions. Like, we have big players on the market like Huobi and and Binance, but we also have like small companies projects coming up, so they all have that startup feeling. And as exciting as it is, it also needs some really heavy organization skills, on the sense like discovering what's the process that works. So you need to be like a UX type of person, but for processes, internal processes, to kind of see what's the flow, what works for your team, what does not work. So I think that persons that has that skill of like identifying patterns and trying to bring those processes, they're very valuable for the industry, as they will bring that more professional level to that the industry needs now.
Thank you. I have a public education background, and one of the things that I always stress with my students was that even though you may not use this exact geometry lesson in your job in the future, the ability to like see patterns and to think creatively about problem solving, or to communicate effectively is what's going to transition you throughout your career.
Yeah,
And one of the things I've noticed in this space is that because there are so many people with diverse backgrounds and skill sets, the common thread is how you interact with people, how you can develop relationships and build trust, because
yeah,
that's what it's all about when we're forming communities. And I love that you pointed out that the crypto industry is so community driven, because that's
yeah,
kind of our mission at Metis, is like we're trying to build a community and empower them to govern a network. And
yeah,
the principles of decentralization are empowering people to take charge of their
exactly.
finances and their information. So
Yeah,
yeah,
the
that's
more you
awesome.
dive into the industry and like into the concept like of DeFi and why it all started, the more you understand why these communities, they're so important. Because when I was an outsider of the industry and I look at it, it looked like I didn't get too much. I was like, okay, this is marketing. It's not marketing. It's part of the company itself. It's much more than marketing on the traditional sense, that you have your social media channels, that you're more in contact with your audience, and then you make like lives and stuff. It's another level, because as you said, like the whole purpose of DeFi is that the person has the power of controlling not only their finance, but if you look at it in a deeper sense, it's like the control of their assets as a whole, like of their life as a whole. So the individual matters too much on crypto. Like that particular person, they matter too much. It's not only one more person, one more consumer. It's actually an important part of your entire ecosystem. Like, they hold power on your ecosystem. Of course, depends how like the governance power that your token provides, or like how is your company organized. But overall, the entire DeFi and also GameFi goes on that like ownership. So as an owner of, you are kind of a partner, like the community member is kind of a partner of the company.
Yeah, it really fosters a sense of accountability, and reflection, because your community members are not just customers; they're people that you have to be responsive with, and they have a say in how the project is run. And I mean, and ideally, and that's kind of what we're moving closer to in Metis and throughout the rest of this year, really shifting further and further toward a fully decentralized organization. Um, yeah, I think it's really exciting. So thank you
Yeah.
for diving down that little rabbit hole with me. Um, But let's get back to Seedify. So you mentioned Launchpad and gaming and a few other things. So let's just start with like a broad overview. What is Seedify? What do you do?
So Seedify, nowadays we can easily say that we're one of the biggest launch pads and incubators of the market, especially when we're talking about, not especially, but when we're talking about games. We were the first launch pad to make that shift and focusing only on GameFi projects and also Metaverse and NFT projects more recently. We have at the moment launched I think a bit over 50 projects, 50 gaming projects. And now we just announced that we are reinforcing our incubation side. So we always announce that Launchpad and incubator, and people always wonder, but where are the incubations? Like what an incubation means, what are we going to do? And we just announced like our four upcoming incubations. Those are projects that Seedify directly invests, and because of that, we have a bigger saying on how they will conduct their tokenomics, even on the gameplay itself. If it's a game, we also have some metaverse project coming up. And it's exciting, like the way that we are adapting through this industry. We're bringing up a lot of new things. Like we always try to level up the game on terms like we could be comfortable with the position of being like these great launchpad that have amazing games and all that, but we never settle for that. So it's not only a launchpad, it's not only an incubator. We also have the goal of opening our own NFT marketplace that's devoted to in-game and metaverse assets. Again, like when we say that we're all about blockchain gaming, we really make it happen. Like it's our entire focus is to have assets that will make sense on the metaverses and the games, not only that the games that we launch, but on the overall blockchain gaming industry. Because as you know, the key differentiator of a blockchain gaming when you compare it to a classic game is the ownership that the players have over their assets, which are NFTs in the game. So um, this is one of the things that I find more interesting about Seedify is that we're always innovating or always bringing something new to the table, and like in the end, leveling up the game of the launch pads. As you used to know last year is completely different now. What we're bringing to our holders and potential holders as well as a launch pad and incubator.
Yeah, I love that you touched on that gamify is different from traditional gaming because now the gamers have ownership. And I was recently at NFT LA and I listened to a talk where someone was mentioning that people are sometimes hesitant to get into the blockchain gaming space because they don't want to monetize something that they associate with fun and play. And the speaker made a really good point in saying that your gaming is already modified, like monetized. Somebody's
Yeah,
already making money off of your play. It
it's not
might
you.
as well be you, right? Yeah. So I think that's really exciting. I want to backtrack just a bit because you mentioned Launchpad, and that's like a pretty unique term for the Web3 space. Can you elaborate and just explain what a Launchpad is and what the function is?
Mhm. So, all projects or all those who want to enter the crypto space, they must tokenize. Like that's one of the basic things you need to tokenize. So, as a launchpad, what we do, we pretty much prepare that project for the launch moment. So, launchpad comes from that, like the launch moment when the project that token will be listed on an exchange, DEX or SEX. So our entire work is to provide the projects all the support that they need to make that successful launch or the successful listing by providing them network and marketing that they will need to succeed in the industry. Certify is very well recognized by its marketing efforts on the industry, mainly with influencers, the influencers work that we have, and also other paid partnerships, paid marketing activities that we do on behalf of the projects. Besides of that, we're constantly looking for new partners in the industry that like VCs. And even new technologies that can empower the projects that we are launching to become something else. So that's another thing that we provide is this strong and valuable network to the project. So that's what a launchpad is like on a concept. But again, like we try to go the extra mile to support those projects, not only until the launch but also after the launch, by providing them the marketing support as well, as we keep like retweeting about those projects, informing our community about them, and also sometimes even advising them on like ways that they should take or decisions that they should make or things that they should launch in order to keep their community and also our community excited about their project.
Nice. So, what let's say like a game developer has an idea. What is the process like for them to approach Seedify and see, can you help me incubate this idea? Can I use the Launchpad? Like what does the process look like for you to onboard new game developers?
So, according to our BD team, most of our new leads are coming from partners that we have, meaning VCs that they found a game and they find it interesting, and that game is looking for a launchpad. They will refer them to us. But if not for that way, on our own website, you can find on the beginning, yeah, on the header, there is apply as a project, and on that the person can fill the form explaining what is a project, and after a few days or a few hours, someone on the BG team will contact that person to follow up, to meet. Usually those meetings take a lot of time because there is a lot of questions to be made, a lot of like there is a lot of first contact that need to be made in order for us as a launchpad to understand if that project will make a good project for our community. Because like on the project side, as I said, the main value that a launchpad can deliver is network and marketing. But on the holder side, the main value that a launchpad can deliver is that trust. The trust that we are selecting good projects, the trust that we're bringing projects that are worth and that have a good tokenomic, that will survive on the market, and that will make amazing games for them to play. So, like these are the two sides of the launchpad work. So it's all part of that meeting to understand if that project makes sense to our community to launch on Seedify. So basically, go to the website, apply as a project. Also, sometimes we get like direct approach. So people find us on LinkedIn or any other social media channel, just type us. That happens sometimes, and we usually like lead them to the business development team. That's the team that will take care of them and will perform the due diligence, which is a deep analysis of the white paper, and also to get to know the team, like to make the questions. So that's the due diligence process, and even make suggestions if they're still open for that. Although when the projects they come to us, they have been already to seed rounds and to like other important sales that make kind of their tokenomics kind of stiff. So you cannot like change that too much. But we try our best if we see potential, but just that little thing missing, like we try our best to advise the project on their what we consider be the right way for them.
How do you involve your community in making those decisions? Because I definitely understand the need for a team of people to kind of take the lead on the due diligence and doing some background checking on, where does this team come from? How is their tokenomics set up? How does Seedify interact with their community to get feedback on like the projects that you're launching or types of games that they might want to see? What does that engagement look like?
So that due diligence process, and also any project that comes to Seedify, they are voted to get in. So after due diligence is complete, and on that team we have a lot of people, including team members and community members. So they are the ones who actually check the white paper, who pose the questions, and then after that we have some higher tiers holders that come up and choose if vote if that project will come in or not. Also, community members, they are also involved on that, and also our directory board. So and BD team, all the BD team is involved on that choice because they are the ones who make it, who are able to analyze if a project is good or not. Then the BD manager who conducted the entire project, it's his or her responsibility to explain to everyone like what's the potential of the project, if a project like what's the, let's say, risk or the downsides of that project, just so everyone is informed and make an informed decision if that project will enter or not.
Thank you for clarifying. I love that there are so many different ways for the community to get involved in that decision making process, because that's a huge tenet of what we do in Web3 and something that we're shifting more towards
Yeah.
ourselves at Metis. Could you explain some of the basic elements of GameFi? Like you talked a little bit about tokenomics and NFTs. Could you talk a little bit more about what makes a blockchain gaming experience different than a traditional gaming experience?
So when you're talking about an NFT play to earn blockchain gaming, what game, whatever like you prefer to call, you are not only talking about the fun part. There is also the economical aspect that is involved. That's what we call the tokenomics, let's say, and that's what like adds another big layer of complexity to those games. So instead of a person judging a game only for the potential of fun or how nice that the graphics look, there is this other component that makes like the balance if the game is worth to play or not, which is the tokenomics, meaning how profitable that game can be. Of course, it really depends on the type of gamer, of player you are, like how used you are to play, and also the maturity of the industry. Because like my guess is that it will come to a point that, of course, the games they will keep paying for you to like it will still be a play to earn, but they will have such amazing experience that people will prefer those over the regular games that you find on the market at the moment. So that's one layer of complexity, which is the economy, and the other one is the ownership over your assets. So as you know, Vitalik, one of the things, of course, the guy is a genius, like, but one of the things that made the guy come and create the entire Ethereum thing was when he lost, like one day from the other, he lost one of his players on the game that he played. And then he was like, okay, I spent years training this character of mine. I spent years enriching it and making it powerful. And then out of the blue, I go to sleep and it's not here anymore. So it was never mine to begin with. So that's when he began to think, okay, I need to find a way for people to actually have ownership of their assets, like game assets. So that's a big difference. So if you're a player of League of Legends or any other game that you find there, you must be aware that everything that you have in the game does not belong to you. Although you can trade, although you can go and exchange, although you can collect, they do not belong to you by any means. Because if the game goes out, like they end up production, if the company has issues tomorrow with the network or anything, you don't have it. Like it's all lost. So that's another big difference that you have when it comes to blockchain games, is that you actually have the ownership of those assets. And some people may ask, okay, but if you don't have the game, what's the use that I can give to these assets? So many of them, they can actually become collectibles. Many of them, they can have that factor of nostalgia that you find today on, like, for example, Pokemon cards, that they are collectibles, that one day they had their price, like people wanted it, but today they are worth like 300K. It really depends on how rare that card is. So you have that rarity factor that you may find in the future with some of these NFTs. So these are the two main aspects that heavily differentiates a blockchain NFT game from any other, is the ownership over your assets and the economical factor, meaning how profitable that game can be.
Thank you. I love how you talked about like you're not owning your assets in any of these games that you're playing, and at any time they could be taken from you. This is interesting. I've not really been a gamer in my life up to this point, but my sister certainly was, and to watch her gaming experience and like her collection of Pokemon, and then how that whole thing evolved and became a really valuable market.
Yeah, and that's
It's been
like
really
it's time of
interesting.
your life invested on that. Like those
Yeah.
characters, the skins that you acquire, the guns, wars, everything. It's actually time that people put into those things, to have them, and like you don't actually have them at the end of the day. They belong to the producer. They belong to whoever made the game. So that's one aspect that can be, of course, like we say those things like they don't belong to you, but if everything goes as they should, as it should be, like your things will remain normal. So tomorrow you turn on your PlayStation, Xbox, or your computer, and you play your game, and everything will be there, but it might not be. And that's not yours, because again, the NFT on the game, so the character, the guns, whatever you own on the game, it actually it's on your wallet. It belongs to you. You are using on the game. And the more we have interoperability type of systems, the more useful those guns and those assets can be, because you could easily jump from, let's say, a space a theme game to a war type of game, medieval themed game, and you could use those guns. So this is one fun thing that not only the NFT games, but the entire concept of metaverse will offer to us in the near future, hopefully, that nowadays games are not able to offer.
Yeah, I think it's really cool that you mentioned the interoperability piece because that's something that's growing and there I think there are a lot of projects that are kind of trying to work on that now where you could create an avatar that you can carry from different games and
Hmm.
can maintain the attributes that you've built across different platforms. And I know when we're thinking about bridging and we just released an NFT bridge with Metis that we're really focusing on how we can make the Web3 space more interoperable. So I love that that's on Seedify's radar as well.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say are like the biggest challenges for game developers when it comes to getting a blockchain game out there and gaining community?
Mm, it will really vary from project to project. You're gonna find projects that have a heavy and amazing development and game design team, but that lacks on marketing. So even though they have an amazing product, they will hardly make into the industry because marketing is such a important aspect of blockchain game projects or crypto in general, that it's hard that those projects will succeed. But then you find also the other way around. You find people with bold ideas that know how to approach the market, that know all the right channels, but they lack the team that will enable them to make those ideas come to life, meaning developers and game designers. So at the moment, you see that the industry is looking for people who knows first how to develop. So that's one of the big barriers that not only gaming projects but DeFi projects in general they face is to find that person, the blockchain lead, or the person who can orient them into that. But I think that besides of those problems, if you look at the industry from last year to this year, the like the development that it have had, it was so fast that makes me optimistic about what we're gonna see in the near future on terms of game development itself. Meaning, like, what are the blockchain projects? What's the experience that they're gonna bring to us? So, what traditional games took 20 years to develop, you were seeing on the blockchain in 2 years. And although, of course, game development is like a hard work, and as you know, like you have producers that take 7 years to put out a game out there, to put like Diablo, the last version, it took ages to come out just because the game is so detailed, the universe is so big. But I see that blockchain is kind of tackling that much faster than those industries did, mainly because of the technology itself that enables, and because of the speed that things are going nowadays. Like, it's so much faster for people to learn, to inform themselves, and to actually make things done, that's what makes me optimistic that in the near future, although we have these troubles at the moment, they will shift. So very soon I believe we'll be able to see like amazing top-notch games in terms of game experience out there, as well as they are profitable. Although the profitability aspect, I think it will come a point that they will be like, say, they will not be the main thing that will bring people to blockchain game. They will be just one more reason for people to join blockchain games. It will be the game experience itself that will bring people, and the fact that they can profit from that would just be a plus, would just be something, okay, I'm not just wasting my time, because that's what's often related to gaming, like you're wasting your time, you're not doing something useful. So play to earn kind of breaks that narrative, and people are now comfortable to enjoy their free time and also make money if that's something that they want. If not, they will still have a great experience with blockchain games.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, the gaming community is pretty strong, and so much of like the interactive element is what brings
Mhm.
people and keeps them into gaming. And
Yeah.
the crypto community is already so strong in that way, like really come together and are collaborative and interactive. So I would imagine that would be a huge pull for people who are already into gaming, but might be
Mhm.
interested in exploring blockchain gaming.
Yeah.
So, what are some like star games? You mentioned that Seedify has helped over like 50 games launch. Are there any in particular that have really taken off or done something innovative?
We have launched a lot of games. I can highlight here Cryo War. Cryo War is a game that recently launched their alpha test, and that's something that I feel and I see that it would be very good game experience that they're providing, as well as Crypto Blades Kingdom. They recently announced their alpha test. That's actually running this week. It ends today, like an MVP type of test. And as you know, Crypto Blades was like the big hit on blockchain game last year. They're making like a comeback on Crypto Blades Kingdoms, and there is high hopes for that. They really put a lot of effort and thought into making this new experience so much better than Crypto Blades originally was. It's actually, let's say, it's not anymore a card game. It's actually a strategy game. So it's much more complex, much more rich, but on projects that excites me for the future, I can highlight too that it's on our, actually all our incubation projects. They are just top notch. Like it's not because they are incubations, but they're really like they're four so different projects. But I can mention here League of Empires. One of I really like when projects they bring like the first or the new or the exclusive to blockchain. So what they're bringing into the blockchain is that they are the first MMORTS game on the blockchain. So that's something quite unique. And if you look at their graphics, also the white paper and how the vision of the how the game will look like, that's something unique that you're gonna have out there. And another one is Astro Hounds. The exciting thing about, there are two exciting things about Astro Hounds. Astro Hounds is gonna be a dog race game. So you can own train your hound, and they can compete in various terrains. They will have certain capacities that will interact with the environment that they're running, which will make the result of the race different for each place that they're going for. And it's a project that's led by a woman. That's our first project after 50 projects that is led by a woman. So that's something quite unique about it. And the second thing is that it's going to be our first game launched on Terra Network. We have never launched it. Like most of the games that we do is either for Binance, for BSC, or for Polygon networks. But now we have this new one on Terra, so that's going to be a complete new experience for us and for our community as well. So those are two that I can highlight as being like very special and very nice. Although like all the four projects that we have in incubation, they're like top notch.
Cool. I'm sure our gamers will be really excited to check all of those projects out.
Yeah.
Um, I heard you mention like a few different networks, and multi-chain seems to be kind of like the way of the future of Web3. But I'm wondering what made Seedify choose Metis for building and for trying to add to the GameFi ecosystem.
Um, so that's where you catch me. Those are I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to use that, but like these are mostly business decisions. But I guess that one of the things that excite us about having these new partnerships is that we're able to explore new places of the blockchain industry. We're constantly trying to expand ourselves. Again, like as I told you, we could be comfortable with the position that we got in the industry at the moment, and it could be only with the partners that we have or the biggest players that you have on the market. But on the moment that you recognize that crypto is so dynamic and such a vast world, and there is so much more to be done using the blockchain technology, it makes sense to join with people who has that same goal as we do. And for what I saw on Metis, you guys are bringing something quite innovative when it comes to network. Like it's completely different from the other approach that we see. And I would bet that was a thing that drove us to you as a business on the first place. Like I think that was the drive to go for such a different partner, and even like your positioning, it's quite different than you find in the market nowadays.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited about the focus that we're taking as far as community governance goes, and being able to draw on awesome projects like Seedify to kind of expand what we're offering to our community. So that's awesome. Um, I think that's all the questions that I have. Are there any like upcoming announcements? I heard you mention NFT marketplace, which is really exciting.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share in the Seedify roadmap with our listeners?
So last week we were celebrating our first S-Fund first anniversary, and there was a lot of like small tips and spoils of things that we are gonna do, including a brief roadmap of things that we want to accomplish until the end of this year. That includes several listings in other exchanges and sexes as well. So that's something that we are definitely gonna do until the end of this year. People keep asking like when Binance and other exchanges as well. So that's something that we're definitely is one of our main goals for this year. This year is to make as fund as more accessible as possible to people, because that's the objective of having the token listed in so many places after all. Another thing I can highlight is that by the end of this month, we should start having our INO. So not only launching game, but also NFTs. That's a bit different from the NFT marketplace, because the INOs, there are projects that we select, that we directly go for the projects. They will also have to pass by our due diligence process, and then the NFT marketplace that will be a bit more open to all the developers and projects to come to us. So it's let's say it's not like we're not gonna care what's gonna be there, but it's a different type of process than you'd have when on the INO platform. And I think that one of the most exciting things that we're starting to have is the seed staking, because of these incubations that we're having. We have access to a certain amount of the tokens of our incubation projects, and that's going to be something that our community will actually benefit through this new feature, which is the seed staking, which is basically, let's say, airdrops of those tokens, of the incubation project tokens, to the wallets of as fund holders and farmers. So the holders, farmers, and stakers actually. So that's something quite unique that we're bringing to the industry. It's something that we never seen before, and that it makes sense for us, like on our overall vision and goal as a launchpad, which is to make a blockchain gaming much more diffused into the community. It makes sense for us that we give to our community as they are investing and believing in us, and enabling them to actually enter those games that sometimes has so high barriers of entrance. So this is something very nice that we're promoting for our community. And if I'm not mistaken, the snapshot starts tomorrow, so April 8th. And yeah, if people want to already start getting an advantage like such, feel free to purchase your S funds. We're gonna be happy join our communities. You're gonna see that our community is super active, and our is one of the things that we can easily brag about, is that our community managers, they are the best. They're gonna welcome you in the best way. They're gonna answer your questions, no matter how newbie they may seem like. There is always people there to answer to you and to help you through the way, and for you to fit with our community the best way possible.
That's great to hear. I know that one of the things that I tell new people when they enter this space is if they don't understand something, they have to ask. And if they come across a project that they're interested in and they ask questions and they don't get a response, or they are otherwise just made to feel a little unwelcome or like they don't belong or
Mhm.
that their questions aren't being answered in a kind way, then that's a red flag. So I love that Seedify is committed to that community engagement and supporting people no matter their level of experience as they enter the space.
Yeah.
That's excellent.
As you know, like crypto is a tricky, as much as this freedom that crypto gives to people is amazing. Freedom has that aspect that people can use it for anything they want. And of course, there are people with bad faith out there that will use for bad things, will scam people, will ultimately take their money. And that's like situations that are so bad. And that by supporting and educating our community, we see we can kind of diminish those risks. Of course, we can never completely eradicate them, but we can diminish by just by teaching so simple things like don't click in weird links, don't join other groups. Like we don't have support, we don't have Twitter support, we don't offer that. Like hardly someone on our community will send you a DM first. You have to send DM to us first. So those are just small tricks that people learn when they enter the community. That's so helpful for them, and that will avoid them so much headache in the future. So I'm happy and proud to say that's something that we do so well for our community, and that's often the reason why people stick with us for such a long time and show so much support for Certify no matter what happens.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate learning more about Seedify and gaming, and especially hearing it from another woman in this space. I think
Yeah.
to see more women in blockchain is awesome, but specifically
Actually,
in
in
the
Seedify,
gaming
we're
thing.
plenty of Romans. There is a lot of women on
Nice.
the team. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's half of the team, but something very close to that. So we are a lot of women there.
That's great. That's great. And that's kind of like a focus as a women founded company. We're quite well represented within Metis, and it's nice to see other companies that are making that same commitment. So, very cool. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking with you
Well,
today.
thank you, Ashley. You too. Enjoy the rest of your day, and see you soon,
Thank you.
hopefully.